The story of the 21st century is being written in Beijing as much as it is in Washington. In January 2026 alone, 6 of America's closest allies, France, South Korea, Ireland, Canada, Finland, and the United Kingdom, sent their leaders directly to Beijing to sign record-breaking trade deals. This is not a footnote. It is a fundamental realignment of the global order happening in real time. A new poll from Politico asked residents in the UK, Canada, Germany, and France a simple question. Which country would you rather depend on for your future? The majority chose China over the United States under Donald Trump. Our closest neighbors and biggest trading partners are shifting away. And while Western commentary is often shaped by those who have never lived in China, the reality on the ground tells a different story. But here's the problem. Most people in the West do not understand the depth of this shift because they are missing the immediate economic shockwave caused by the Iran war. President Xi Jinping is set to meet with Donald Trump in Beijing within weeks, and the #1 topic will not be tariffs or technology. It will be the Strait of Hormuz. China gets a tremendous amount of its oil through that choke point. With the strait closed and the U.S. blockade in place, the entire world is bearing the brunt. We are witnessing the biggest shock to the global energy scene in history. 2 months of significant disruption have already occurred, but the full impact has not yet hit. Oil tankers are slow. The shipments arriving in Europe and North America today left the Gulf before the war started. The real pain is coming in May and June. Lufthansa has already canceled 20,000 flights. Jet fuel prices in Europe have skyrocketed over 100%. Shortages are imminent, and the U.S. has no clear exit strategy. This is where things change. The narrative that China is supporting Iran militarily is a distraction. The real story is that China and Iran are sovereign nations trading legally. There are no international sanctions prohibiting this. But more importantly, the U.S. intelligence community itself has fractured. Joe Kent, the senior official in charge of the Iran operation, resigned weeks into the campaign, stating he could not morally support a war based on false premises. The claim that Iran was 2 weeks away from a nuclear bomb was a lie. Senior U.S. intelligence said the opposite. Iran is not a threat to the U.S. homeland. Yet the U.S. launched an unprovoked war, and Iran responded logically. They struck all 13 U.S. military bases in the region. The New York Times only admitted this 2 months later, quietly slipping it into a weekend report. The delay in information is strategic, but the physical reality is undeniable. Iran controls the strait, and they are striking Gulf states that host U.S. bases, viewing them as legitimate proxies. What happens next? The U.S. vastly underestimated Iran. They thought it would be like Venezuela. A quick regime change, a captured leader, a PR win. Instead, we are in week 9 of a conflict with no military victory. Striking buildings is not winning. Iran still has missiles. It still controls the energy flow. And this is where China becomes the geopolitical winner. The U.S. economy is 40% more reliant on oil for every dollar of GDP than China is. When diesel hits $6.50 a gallon, the U.S. trucking industry collapses. Food prices soar because logistics fail. China saw this vulnerability 25 years ago. They diversified. They built high-speed rail. They electrified their bus fleets. Shenzhen's entire bus system is electric. 60% of cars on Chinese roads are EVs. They dominate solar, wind, and hydro. A new dam in Tibet will generate more electricity than the entire United Kingdom. While U.S. electricity output has stagnated for 25 years, China's has skyrocketed. In the age of AI, electricity is power. And China has it. This is where most people miss it. While the U.S. struggles with energy dependency, its global reputation is crumbling. Allies are looking at the chaos of Trump 2.0 and seeing instability. They are looking at China and seeing consistency. China operates on 5-year plans. They set goals and achieve them. When a bridge collapses in Baltimore, it takes 10 years and billions of dollars to fix due to bureaucracy and political gridlock. When China needs a bridge in Guizhou, they build the world's tallest in less than 2 years for a fraction of the cost. This efficiency is attracting the global south. Africa is not looking for aid, it is looking for development. China is building airports, railroads, and factories in Nigeria and beyond. They are creating jobs, not just handing out food. By the end of the century, Nigeria's population will exceed 800 million. China is positioning itself as the partner of the future, while the U.S. is seen as the policeman of the past. But here's the problem. China's economy is not without its flaws. Youth unemployment is near 20%. The real estate market is contracting. The closure of the strait hurts them too. Helium, fertilizer, and specialized lubricants for manufacturing are stuck in the Gulf. Chinese factories are running low on critical inputs. This is why Xi Jinping needs a resolution. He needs the strait open. But he also knows that the U.S. needs China more than it admits. The tariff war of 2025 failed. Trump tried to impose 200% tariffs, but he backed down because U.S. industries countries depend on Chinese imports. Medicine is tested in China due to its massive population data. Electronics are assembled there. Soybeans are bought by Beijing to support U.S. farmers. The two economies are fused. Decoupling is a fantasy. This is where things change. The upcoming meeting in Beijing will not be about ideology. It will be about survival. Trump needs a win. He needs soybean contracts to show his base. Xi needs energy security. They will likely strike a deal. China buys more U.S. agriculture. The U.S. eases pressure on certain tech exports or facilitates a diplomatic off-ramp in the Middle East. Taiwan will likely be sidelined. The focus will be on immediate economic stabilization. But this temporary fix does not solve the structural shift. The world is moving toward a multipolar order where China is the central node of trade and infrastructure. The U.S. is becoming an isolated island of high costs and political volatility. What happens next? For the average person, the message is clear. Do not rely on Western media narratives. Go and see for yourself. China has opened its borders to visa-free travel for 65 countries. Vloggers are showing a modern, safe, and technologically advanced society that contradicts the dystopian image painted in the West. The future is not a binary choice between democracy and autocracy. It is a competition between efficiency and chaos, between long-term planning and short-term reaction. China is playing the long game. The US is reacting to the news cycle. And in geopolitics, the long game always wins. The world wins when the US and China cooperate. But if they continue to clash, the world will fracture. And right now, the fractures are widening. The allies are choosing sides, and they are not choosing Washington.